In economics class today, we shall be looking at another interesting topic that we call inflation theory. And under inflation theory, we want to look at the meaning of inflation. What are the causes of inflation? But before the causes of inflation, let's look at types of inflation theory that we have. Then we can now look at causes of inflation. Having looked at the causes of inflation, we shall also examine effects of inflation in an economy before we finally look at the control, that is, how can we find solutions toward inflation in an economy. Inflation. It is a persistent increase in the general price level of goods and services. When we are talking about inflation, we are looking at a persistent increase in the general price level of goods and services in an economy. Okay, now, which occur due to the presence of large volume of money in circulation used in purchasing few commodities in the economy. The last class we look at the supply of money, and also we look at quantity theory of money, how the money in circulation and the price level are related. We did explain that. Now, we are talking about inflation now. So we are looking at the general price level of goods and services, and what is causing the increase in prices of goods and services. It can be as a result of what? The large volume of money in circulation. And the large volume of money in the circulation that you are using to do what? To buy few commodities. So if you have few commodities in the economy and the volume of money in this economy is increasing, so there is no way you will not pay higher prices for goods and services that are available in the economy. So that's why we call it persistent increase in the general price level, known as inflation. Types of inflation. Number one, demand pull inflation. What do you mean by that? It is an inflation which emanates from excess of demand over supply. We have also treated demand and supply analysis here. We come to a point where we try to look at equilibrium price. And under equilibrium price, we have what we call excess demand, excess supply. Now, when we're talking about demand pull inflation, we have demand will be greater than supply, that is excess of demand over supply. Consumer will force the price of the commodity to move up. You know, when we explain excess demand, we say that the price is below the situation where we have the equilibrium price be below, right? We are going to have what we call excess demand. And for equilibrium price to occur, right, when we have excess demand, the price needs to go up. So here, the consumer will push or will pull the price up towards the equilibrium point. So when we are talking about demand pull inflation, we're talking a situation whereby demand is greater than supply. Why? As a result of large volume of money in the circulation, in which there is no corresponding increase in supply of goods and services. So if there is no increase in supply of goods and services, and there is an increase in the volume of money in the circulation, so people will use this money to buy few commodities. That is, large money will be used to buy few commodities. Then we are talking about demand pull inflation. That is why I said it occurs due to large volume of money in the circulation, which failed to have a corresponding increase in supply of goods and services. So that's what we call demand pull inflation. Number two, cost push inflation. We are looking at it from the angle of the cost of production. That is, it is generated by an increase in the cost of acquiring the inputs of production. Thereby, increased cost of production are passed on to consumer in the form of high prices for the goods and services on sale. So what we are trying to analyze under cost push inflation is that we trace inflation towards the cost of acquiring raw materials, particularly on the side of labor. If labor is agitating for increase in wages and salaries, so there is no way there won't be increase in the cost of production, because wages and salary are part of cost of production. So a situation where the employer decide to welcome the agitation of the labor. In that case, the cost of production will increase. But the employer too will want to have increase in profits. So by having more to its own, definitely everything will pass toward the cost of production. So once the cost of production can increase, consumer will pay high prices for these goods once they want to consume the commodity. So we are talking about cost push inflation. It is as a result of increase in wages and salaries of labor, as well as an increase in the profit margin of the employer or of the firm that will now pass on to the consumer in the form of high prices of the goods. So here we now have inflation. So, but this inflation is not as a result of large volume of money circulation, but as a result of the increase in cost of production that we call cost push inflation. The third type, hyperinflation. It occurs when a persistent inflation becomes uncontrollable and value of money keeps on declining rapidly. So if in an economy they are experiencing persistent inflation, whereby the monetary authority cannot control the rate at which prices of goods and services are moving up, in that case, the value of money will have declined rapidly. So here now, it might be as a result of a war that they are experiencing in that economy, or budget deficits that the economy adopts. So all these can cause hyperinflation. It is also called galloping or runaway inflation. So here, it is not as a result of cost of production or as a result of large volume of money circulation, but it can be as a result of war or budget deficit. Once the value of money continues declining, that the monetary authority find it difficult to control, then the inflation will now become what we call hyperinflation. Let us look at the causes of inflation. There are many causes, but we are going to look at few here. The first one, excessive demand of commodities. If in an economy demand is greater than supply, then we are going to have excess demand. So as a result of that, there will be an increase in prices of goods and services. So we'll now be talking about inflation at the aggregate level because of what? Excessive demand of commodity. So that is, demand is more than supply. So once supply cannot meet people's demand, then we have excess demand, or we call it shortage. In that case, people will buy the available ones at high prices. Number two, high cost of production. If there's an increase in the cost of production, it will affect total output of the firm. How? The more they pay toward the input to use in production, the less the input they will be able to acquire in order to use toward production. So output will fall. Once the output can fall, it will affect the total supply on the lower later on. So cost of production can cause inflation because decrease in output will lead to decrease in supply. And once supply can be so few, then demand is greater. So at the end of the day, there will be shortage. And shortage is as a result of what? Failure to supply more that can be traced, or which is traced to high cost of production. So inflation will arise as a result of that. The third one, excessive bank lending. If banks can be lending more than what they need in the economy, definitely inflation is going to occur because the money is not channeled into the appropriate area as a result of excessive lending of bankers. So bankers want to make their own money, but the money is not going toward the area that they need it. So on the long run, there will be a large volume of money in the circulation. Why? Because bankers have lent out large volume of money, which is not in corresponding increase with the volume of output that they need, which can increase the supply in the economy. So excessive bank lending can cause inflation once they are not channeling the resources to appropriate area, or once there is an increase in the supply of money in the circulation. The fourth one, low domestic productivity. If in an economy there is no increase in their productivities, then there will be low production. So low production in the domestic economy can cause inflation, because the people in the economy are demanding for more. And once there is no increase in supply, then the price of the commodity will increase. So on the long run, we now have what we call increase in prices in general at the general level. So low domestic productivity can cause inflation once supply cannot meet demand in such an economy. The fifth one, hoarding. Hoarding will cause artificial scarcity. That is, when people are hoarding goods, when they're supposed to supply the goods into the economy. So the consumers will buy the goods at high prices. And why are they paying for that? Because some people are holding the goods, particularly wholesalers and retailers. They can do that in order to force the price to increase so that they can make more profit. By doing this, they are causing artificial scarcity in the economy, which will lead to inflation. Effect of inflation. Number one, it discourages savings. An economy experiencing inflation, the people and as well as the friends that we have in the economy, they won't have the encouragement towards savings, because 1 naira of today cannot be 1 naira of tomorrow or next week. So it discourages savings to the extent that people prefer to spend the money today instead of keeping it for future purpose. Number two, it discourages investments. Where there is no savings, there can be investment. So once people are not willing or they are discouraged due to inflation in the economy, so savings will not occur. So once there is no savings, definitely there won't be investment, because economists believe that once there is savings, there will be investments. Three, it discourages export. Countries won't be able to export their goods once they are experiencing inflation. That is, a country that has a producer with high cost of production, how will those producers be able to export their commodities to other countries where they are not experiencing much inflation? Even if they are experiencing inflation, we don't know the rate of their whole inflation. So, because by exporting, the price will increase when the commodity get there. So, if there are substitutes for the good, then the good won't be able to have foreign buyers or foreign markets. So, in that case, inflation discourages export. Number four, creditors lose. How? When you give a loan to someone to make use of, when the person is returning the money, you cannot compare the past value of the money with the present value of the money. The money will have lost its value before the creditor get the money back from the debtor. So the creditors lose as a result of what? Decline in the value of money being granted to the debtor. Number five, it leads to loss of value of money. Once people are not able to buy many commodities with large volume of money, it means the money has lost its value. That is, people are using large volume of money to purchase few commodities. So in that case, the money has lost its value as a result of inflation. Number six, it encourages high profit margin. How? Producers are willing to supply more to the market once there's an increase or once there are increase in prices. That is, once they observe that the prices of their commodities have increased, they want to take more to the market for sale. So automatically, there will be increase in total sales. That is, their total revenue will increase, which in turn to higher profit making in their firm. So producers will be willing whenever there is inflation, because prices of goods and services encourage them to supply more. Number 7, it reduces burden of debts. Here, as a debtor or debtors, the benefit when there is inflation. How? When they are returning the money would have lost its value. Before that, they would have used the money to make more money. So when they are returning the money, it won't be the value that they got it from their creditor that they are going to return the money. So having used the money for so many things that yield them lot of profit, so they will be able to make to have a reduction in the burden of debt. Not only that, having gotten the money for whatever you want to do or want to do with the money towards the activities, that is towards economic activities. So the debtors will have made much profit before returning the money back to the creditor. So here we are saying that debtor gains during inflation because they are still returning the specific amount taken without considering if inflation has worsened the value of money or not. So debtor gain during inflation while creditor lose during inflation. Control of inflation. Number 1, use of monetary measure. We have seen causes of inflation, right? How can we control them? The first one that we can make use of is what we call use of monetary measure. And we are talking about monetary measures. We are calling the attention of monetary authority to take action towards controlling inflation. And monetary authority is going to take action. They have instruments that they make use of. We have what we call bank rate. And when we are talking about bank rate, they can use it in reducing the volume of money in the circulation by increasing this rate so that it will be difficult for commercial banks to come for loan and give it out to their customers. Because once there's an increase in bank rate, interest rate of commercial bank will increase. This will discourage people from borrowing. Not only that, they can also make use of what we call open market operation by selling treasury bills. Doing this either to increase the volume of money in circulation or decreasing the volume of money in the circulation. So they can use this instrument in controlling inflation. So use of monetary measure will assist in reducing the pressure that an economy is having as a result of inflation. Number 2, use of fiscal measure. Fiscal measure can also be used. That is the area of fiscal policy. And when we're talking about fiscal policy, majorly tax is the main thing that they make use of in controlling inflation. Where there is an inflation, government or fiscal authority can increase taxes so that people won't be able to go for consumption of such commodity. If there's an increase in tax, it will bounce on prices of goods and services. That is, the prices will go up in order to reduce the purchase of certain commodities. Or government can decide to increase tax in the area of direct tax so that income of consumer can drop so that they can have little. This little will not be used to purchase the available commodity. So later on, if consumers do not have enough, more goods will be available so that in order to meet the excess demand. So on the long run, demand will not equate supply because once we have excess goods in the economy and consumers are not having the money to buy, the price will drop and come to equilibrium. So by doing that, inflation will be reduced. Another way of controlling inflation, industrialization. Government should encourage people to go into industrializing the economy. By industrializing the economy, inflation will drop because you are transforming your primary sector into secondary sector and tertiary sector, so that more goods and services will be produced and enough will be available for people to buy. So by doing this, inflation will drop because of large goods and services that they have produced in the economy. But if the economy is not industrialized, the economy will still be experiencing inflation because they've not transformed the primary sector into secondary and tertiary sector that can boost the economy. Number 4, granting of subsidy. Government can come in by granting subsidy to sectors that are very important in order for the producer in that sector to increase their output. So by doing this, producer will be able to increase their output so that more will be taken to the market for sale. So later on the long run, prices of goods and services will come down because of our subsidy being granted. Number 5, increase in production. Government should encourage producers toward increasing production of goods and services, because if there is no increase in production of goods and services, there is no way prices of goods and services can drop. So shortage is what is causing inflation. So if you can have surplus goods in the economy, so inflation will come down. The last one, checking hoarding. We have said that where there is hoarding, there will be artificial scarcity of goods and services that will lead to inflation. But if hoarding can be checked, then inflation will be reduced. That is, checking the activities of wholesalers, checking the activities of retailers. Not only these two people, even producers too can be checked in order to avoid hoarding in the economy, which can cause artificial scarcity of goods that will lead to increase in prices of goods and services in the economy. We want to look at value of money and price index. What do I mean by value of money? Value of money is the quantity of goods and services that a given amount can buy at any particular time. Is when you have certain amount of money, the next question is to ask that how many quantity of goods and services can you acquire with this given amount of money in a particular period of time. So assuming you have 100,000 naira, how many quantity of goods and services can you acquire with this? The price level will tell us if you'll be able to acquire that quantity or not. Let us look at price index. Price index is a weighted average of prices, which is expressed as a percentage of prices existing in the base year. It is expressed as price in the current year divided by price in the previous year times 100. We give what we call price index. Now, if the price in the current year is greater than the previous year, it implies an increase in price from one period to another period. It indicates inflation. But a situation where the previous price is greater than the current price, it implies a fall in price of goods in that period. So it implies deflation. Now, we are going to look at the relationship between value of money and price index. Now, we are going to conclude the value of money and price index by looking at this statement that it should be noted that there is an inverse relationship between value of money and price index. What are we trying to analyze here? Is that once there is an increase in prices of goods and services, the value of money will drop. But a situation where there is a decrease in prices of goods and services, the value of money will go up. So that's why I said that value of money depends on the price level of goods and services in an economy. So the two, the value of money and price, they have inverse relationship. If one is increasing, the other one will be what? Decreasing. But value of money is affected by price index. Example, question 1. The indicator of value of money in the market is A, the general price level, B, effective supply, C, the equilibrium price, D, consumer income. The right answer is A, the general price level. Question 2. Which of the following categories of people do not gain during inflation? A, debtors, B, businessmen, C, shareholders, D, creditors. The right answer is D, creditors. Question 3. The purchasing power of the naira would fall when A, workers are retrenched, B, the color of the naira changed, C, there is inflation, D, the naira is overvalued. The right answer is C, there is inflation.